I spoke with hundreds of people who survived from Russian captivity, and they told me horrible stories, how they were beaten, how they were raped, how their fingers were cut, tortured with electricity, how their nails were torn away, other horrible forms of tortures.
Vous dirigez depuis 2007 le Centre pour les libertés civiles. Qu'est-ce que votre travail d'enquête depuis 2014 vous a appris sur les crimes commis par les Russes?
As a human rights lawyer, I must admit that we faced with unprecedented numbers of war crimes. Russian troops deliberately commit murders, tortures, rape, abductions, and other kind of offenses against civilians. Russia attempts to break people's resistance and occupy Ukraine by inflicting the immense pain and suffering to civilians. I am focused on the illegal practice of detention, abduction, sexual violence and killing civilians on the occupied territories. And I spoke with hundreds of people who survived from Russian captivity, and they told me horrible stories, how they were beaten, how they were raped, how their fingers were cut, tortured with electricity, how their nails were torn away, their nails were drilled, and other horrible forms of tortures. So we document not just violations of Geneva and Hague Conventions, we document human pain. It's very difficult to express the experience, what does it mean to live during the large-scale war. 24 February last year changed all my life, because everything which you taken for granted and named your normal life ruined in one moment.
L'invasion de l'Ukraine a-t-elle marqué un tournant dans les violences commises envers les civils et en quoi sont-elles différentes de la période entre 2014 et 2022?
This war has a very clear genocidal intent, which is visible not just from public rhetorics of Putin, which openly say Ukraine nation has no right to exist. There is no Ukrainian language, there is no Ukrainian culture. This war started 9 years ago when Ukraine obtained a chance for the quick democratic transformation, and in order to stop us on this way, Putin started this war of aggression, occupied Crimea, part of Lugansk and Donetsk region, and last year extended this war to the large-scale invasion. Because Putin is not afraid of NATO. Putin is afraid of the idea of freedom. Something is very clear. The Russian regime is weak. Russia is empire, but very archaic empire. Russia tried to return not only itself, but Ukrainians to the past. But we choose future.
Vous plaidez pour la mise en place d'un tribunal international pour juger les crimes russes, mais ce tribunal ne serait pas reconnu par tous les pays occidentaux, encore moins la Russie. Faut-il alors créer un tribunal de type Nuremberg ou impliquer la Cour pénale internationale?
All this hell which we now face in Ukraine, it's a result of total impunity which Russia enjoyed for decades. In Chechnya, in Moldova, in Georgia, in Mali, in Syria, in Libya, in other countries of the world. Russia have never been punished, and that is why we must break the circle of impunity. We must establish a special tribunal on aggression and hold Putin, Lukashenko and their surrounding accountable. And the problem is that there is no international court for current moment who can prosecute. Even International Criminal Court has no jurisdiction. It has to be created in the frame of international organization. The priority is UN, because it's a world level, but also other possibilities can be regional international organizations like Council of Europe or European Union. I see that politicians still look to the world through the prism of Nuremberg trials, where Nazi war criminals were tried, but only after Nazi regime had collapsed. But we live in a new century. Justice must be independent of the magnitude of Putin's regime's power. We ask for France to continue this policy and to express decisive and quick actions. Ukrainians will always remember your support and your solidarity. When large-scale invasion started, the civilized world told, let's help Ukraine not to lose, because it's not just a war between two states. This is a war between two systems, authoritarianism and democracy. But it's time to change this narrative, because there is a huge difference between let's help Ukraine not to fail and let's help Ukraine to win fast. Its difference can be measured in type of weapons, speed of decisions, gravity of sanctions, etc., etc. Because we have no time. Because victory for Ukraine is not just to repeal Russian troops out from Ukrainian territories and release people who live in Crimea and other oblasts of Ukraine which are temporarily under Russian occupation. Because only victory of Ukraine will provide a chance for democratic future of Russia itself. Victory for Ukraine is to succeed in democratic transitions of our country, to build a society where the rights of everybody are protected, government is accountable, judiciary is independent, and police do not beat students who are peacefully demonstrating.
Le conflit s'enlise et semble s'inscrire dans un temps très long pour plusieurs décennies selon certains spécialistes. Avez-vous espoir et voyez-vous une fin possible à ce conflit?
On my way here, I got the news that my friend, Ukrainian writer Victoria Melina, was hit by a Russian rocket in a cafe in Kramatorsk. Now she is in hospital and doctors are struggling for her life. I will never wish any nation to go through our experience, because war is awful. But this traumatic time provides us opportunity to reveal the best in us, to be courageous, to fight for freedom, to make difficult but right choices and help each other. And now we are acutely aware of what does it mean to be a human beings, to call for solidarity with people who are fighting for freedom.